Hello YouTube, this is KDX Kid. It's been well over a year since I've posted a video, and my last video was a Stampede review and a Stampede jump video. And you notice in front of me is actually a Stampede. First of all, this video is going to be about like the strengths and weaknesses about the Rustler and the Stampede and which one you should get. It has a lot to depend on where you're at and what you're going to be using it and like what environments you're going to be using it in. But anyway, this is my Rustler. After I had my Stampede for about a year, and I found myself I was always on the road with it, and I wanted something a lot more stable. I mean, the Stampede was awesome. I loved it so much. Here's the body. The Stampede is great, but I was going racing sometimes, and I wanted more speed and more stability, so I converted my Stampede to a Rustler, and I absolutely love it. It is awesome. I'm running a Proline Desert Rat body on it right now. That's the stock one with the stickers off. But anyway, this is my Rustler right now. You can check out my my review vid, and you'll see what my Stampede used to look like after that was like a month after I reviewed it. Anyway, this is what it is now, and this thing is great. I love it, and yeah, it handles much better than the Stampede. A whole lot better than the Stampede does. And it's insanely durable. Both the Stampede and the Rustler are really durable, and I love that about Traxxas. A lot of their, or most of their 1/10 scale vehicles are really durable. So they're both durable. The Stampede has a much higher ground clearance than the Rustler does. So if you're gonna be almost always in a off-road terrain, really bumpy terrain, I would suggest going with the Stampede just because it's gonna handle a lot better in that situation because it has a high center of gravity. But I use my Rustler out on my driveway and on the road a lot more than I do in the dirt, so that's why I converted it to a Rustler, obviously, because it just makes more sense to have the stability. So yeah, it all comes down to where you're gonna be RCing at. I mean, if you're gonna be driving or racing or whatever, sorry, that was my phone. If you're gonna be like racing every once in a while, you obviously don't want to get the Stampede because it doesn't handle as well. They both obviously with the Valenion system are capable of 3S LiPo batteries, and I will say the Rustler handles it a lot better than the Stampede. The Stampede on 3S is just ridiculous. It's insane. It's really hard to control. I mean, you can control it, but I mean, right when you're starting out, it's just crazy, and I like to have the stability with the Rustler. What else? I really like the Rustler too because it also is very off-road capable. Not as much as a Stampede, but I mean, you can do a lot to make this just almost as good as a Stampede. And also, as you can, like, one thing that I also like about the Rustler is there's a lot more room on the chassis. As you can see, I mounted my ESC up down here instead of the plate up here, because I just lowered the center of gravity of that, and I couldn't do that with the Stampede just because the chassis is so it's really narrow. And that was one of the weak points I found of the Stampede. Was where the servo is up front, sometimes that would crack. Like if it's really cold outside and you're bashing really hard, that eventually will crack. It took a while for mine to crack, but my friend Stampede, he cracked his in about like a week. Anyway, so the Stampede is great for off-road, bashing. It's great for wheelies. If you're into the wheelies, get this, because it is a wheelie monster. Wheelies on demand on 3S. Not so much with the Rustler, just because it's lower to the ground, and the high center of gravity is lower, so it's not gonna, tilt up as much. Now onto the Rustler. It is so much more stable, and I love the stability of it, especially with like racing tires, not these Talons that I use for bashing. Overall, I just like the Rustler better because it can still go off-road and you can still race it. All in all, I will have to say the Rustler is a better choice, but if you're going to be constantly going off-road, I would get the Stampede, just because it's higher center of gravity. And that pretty much wraps it up. Hopefully I can get a review video of my Rustler up soon, because I have a lot of goodies for that. So yeah, I would have to say the Rustler is a little bit of a better choice all around, just because you can do everything with it. You can go off-road, you can bash, you can race, you can do everything with it. With the Stampede, you can't race as much, obviously, but it has better off-road capabilities, and we'll leave it at that. Bye.